Hey, I'm Rishabh. I'm a co-founder at Toralis Labs. And before I get into anything, I want to first talk about the history of medicine and where we think it's going to go in the future. So, for that, I want to talk about lobotomies. Now, a lobotomy, if you don't know, is when they take an ice pick and carved out the frontal lobe of a patient's brain. And this was supposed to help with schizophrenia and other related diseases. And although we now know in 2026 that that's not the way to solve these sorts of problems, that's what a surgeon was able to observe back then. And to the best of his ability, use that to try and solve schizophrenia and other related diseases. Thankfully, in 2026, we have way better ways of imaging and looking at a patient. We have CT scans, MRI scanners, radiology machines that all tell us and allow us to interact with human beings, with patients, in a way never been able to before. However, they're not perfect. Of course, a CT scanner can't predict the future. It can't tell us whether a device will work or whether a surgery will be successful. And that's where Trials Labs hopes come in. And the reason for that is because individuals are unique. We all have different physiologies, and for that, the surgeries and what the procedures that surgeons take care they need to do on us changes. And this is especially true in vascular surgery. Vascular surgery comprises of 6% of the surgeries worldwide, and it's growing year over year. However, they tend to be 3 times more expensive, and the reason for that is due to what I said earlier. We each have unique physiologies and unique things that make us us, and for that, that makes how they do vascular surgery per person very different. Let's look at 2 examples. One is in the abdomen. In the abdomen, there is the abdominal aorta, the largest vessel in the region, and in the abdominal aorta, if you have a hostile anatomy or a slightly out of line abdominal aorta, you have a 2 times higher chance of being of reintervention. Reintervention is when they have to go back and redo the surgery because they kind of messed up the first time, and there might be a leakage or whatnot. Similarly, in the brain, if you have just larger vessels, just genetically, you have a 50% higher chance of an unfavorable outcome. But that's not great. How do we solve that? Obviously, every patient currently has their own plan, but how do we make that plan better? So, Toralis Labs currently focuses on EVAR, endovascular aorta repair, because our clinical partner is in EVAR, and it's a very relatively simple surgery to start off with and scale with later. But currently in EVAR, they take a normal CTA, and from that, they observe problems with this patient and then figure out what to do later on. However, what we do is that we take the CTA, turn it to a 3D model, and then from that model, we run our own native AI algorithms to create a surgical EVAR predictive model. And that's amazing because a surgeon once told us that the difference between a good surgeon and a great surgeon is that a great surgeon has their mouth moving 3 times faster than their hands and their mind moving 3 times faster than their mouth. And what that means is that surgeons, clinicians, device reps, they have to deal with such a large, complex list and pipeline of decisions, and we aim to take that from their minds and their notepads into an actual platform. And then they can see stuff like device risk factors and surgical risk factors for a given patient. That will allow for more personalized healthcare and better healthcare overall. This is a good time to talk about the opportunity here too. So on average, a hospital spends around over $1 million for EVAR interventions. That means that through research and development, we can tackle a $3 billion problem. But because due to the scalability of the models that we build, we can then easily scale this to other surgeries beyond EVAR to tackle a $140 billion problem. So that's what kind of differentiates us between the market. We're incredibly scalable, and everything that we do is the idea is that everything that we do can be scaled to other surgeries and will be able to fit with any clinical pipeline and with any device for a given vessel. And we build incredibly fast too. We have 3 native AI algorithms of our own. The first is segmentation, where we take a vessel and we segment it down to the different parts. Next is a CFD surrogate, where we take computational fluid dynamics, learn how it works, and we can actually map these hemodynamic parameters across every node of the mesh, pretty much 1,000 times faster than a traditional simulation. And the last one is device compatibility, where we take a bunch of measurements and from the measurements, we are able to map it to a given IFU device. So a stent, and they're given information for use document. And it works across 400 devices. So that being said, I'll also take you through a little demo of how it works right now. I would say currently the platform only has our segmentation model and our device matching model because we're adding it incrementally as we kind of prove the feasibility of each model. But here we upload a CT scan. And currently in the background, we have the segmentation model, the CT scan model, and some other stuff kind of running to get this view. So you see, this person has an aneurysm, which is bad. We have to fix that. But we also have a 3D segmented model. So we have a 3D view of this person's abdominal aorta along with a DICOM viewer. So it's a great way to kind of visualize not only the person in 2D, but in a 3D, kind of like you're holding this person's aorta in your hand, which is kind of weird. But yeah, you can click around, see different parts of the aorta and where you are on the CT scan. There are 23 different zones that we can segment for, and these are the same 23 zones that surgeons currently look for. We worked with our clinical partners to kind of figure that out. And the reason why this is important is because in the bottom we have our measurements. Now here we measure every part of the aorta, the neck, the iliacs, whatever, and we did these like we uh, clarified it. Yeah, and then it's accurate. We know it's accurate. And to prove it's accurate, we also have the diameter across every millimeter from top to bottom across the entire aorta. And so the reason why these measures are important is because it leads to the top right, which is our device matching model. So here we have the main body and contralateral leg of a couple of different stents or balloons, and we can choose the number one best fitting stent based on the measurements. Uh, and the reason why we can choose multiple different stents is because a surgeon might need a couple of different stents for different use cases. For instance, for a given patient, a surgeon might need to choose between choosing the best stent right now or the best stent that won't leak in 10 years. Those are actually two different options. And we have to kind of make sure of that here with the choice that we have. However, this is a lot of information. We have the DICOM viewer, a segmentation model, device matching, measurements. How do we kind of turn it all into something that's more user friendly? That's where on the bottom right, we have our chatbot. So in the chatbot, it takes all of this as information, and compliant with healthcare standards, we can actually talk about our patient like we're talking to a person's body. It's kind of freaky, but that's the idea is that it'll allow us to take this very complex chain of decisions and turn into something that's very user friendly. So it pretty much allows a surgeon to make a decision about stents and where to place them, but way faster. And this can be scaled, as I said before, to any vessel and any stent for the vessel. And yeah, that's the whole platform right now as it stands. We're currently testing it out with our clinical partner, which is a great place to talk about our team. Yeah, so here's our founding team. You have a founding medical director, Dr. Vinu Ramidi. He's the director of vascular surgery at Gold Coast University Hospital. He is the person that kind of leads the divisions around data and around getting the data and how to train our models to improve them. And then with that, we have our medical technical staff. We have a engineering team. It's me, Bing, and Jun. We're all from Waterloo CS. Bing just finished his PhD. And we have Ahash and Ibrahim on the medical side with Dr. Vinu as MD students. So yeah, from here, our next steps are to finish developing the foundational AI models. We're going to continuously improve them because these are still very relatively newish areas of research. So we're continuing to improve them, get them better, and from that, in parallel, we're going to have our clinical feasibility studies to prove that this could actually work in a real clinic. This is with the help of Dr. Vinu and other partners. And from that, in quarter 4 of this year, we're going to aim for our first a real hospital deployment to see how this can work in a real workflow. And then from that, we're going to start our first clinical trials, and yeah, and then commercially expand beyond that clinical trials. See how the outcomes are, and then based on that, we can start actually expanding to something more commercial. Yeah, so our ask here is that we're looking for people to. I know in Toronto there's a huge community of people working on similar problems that you guys might be connected with. So we'll love to kind of get a like. We'll love to be connected with those sorts of people and see if there's possibility for like a data partnership. Or just allowing them to use our models or vice versa. And also, if that requires seed funding, we're open to that conversation as well.